Fun, sporty sedans are getting harder to come by today because of the massive move to SUVs and even pickup trucks. The fact that we have a few that still have manual transmission is unbelievable because they don't even pack those anymore. But today, Stadiumm Toyota has given us the 2022 Toyota Corolla SE in your sand black metallic. This is a manual transmission, more sporty styling sedan. And you're comparing it against the redesigned Honda Civic or the Volkswagen Jetta. The interior, it's going to have room for 5, a larger infotainment screen, Toyota Safety Sense 2.0. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and we're going to go over all the specs and details starting now. Toyota Corolla SE, right off the bat, you're going to notice that it has a nice stance to it. It's a little bit bubbly, playful, sporty, I guess would be the key word that we're looking for. And yet it's practical and you could use this every single day. The sporty styling starts with an enlarged grille on the lower bumper inserts. You're going to have the honeycomb. It's going to be a gray metallic surrounding it. And I do like that they kept the gloss black on this center here between your LED headlamps and daytime running. They go seamless into the fenders and yet protrude just a bit onto the hoods. Going onto the lower bumper, you're going to get non-functional side vents with the honeycomb design, but I kind of wish that this was functional or just make it a little bit more bulged outwards for aerodynamics with the lower spoiler lip clearance at 5.3 inches. With a side-by-side for the Honda Civic that's redesigned, this is going to look a lot more sporty. If you're looking at it with the Jetta, I still think this has some more sporty heritage in the fascia. And the way the hood sits, it has a nice proportion. It actually flares out the fenders even more than need be because it makes it so sporty, and it doesn't have any matte black to surround these 18-inch, 5 double-spoke alloy wheels. The disc reading at 10.8 inches, ventilated in the front, the rear at 10.2 inches. It's solid. I like these ones a lot more so than the Honda Civic and the Jetta. I think it makes it look so much more sporty, especially with the side rocker panel flares out because it gives more of an aggressive attribute. Sports tuned suspension is what you're getting as well. Independent McPherson strut front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension. Both the front and the rear will have your stabilizer bar. The length at 182.5 inches, a wheelbase at 106.3 inches. Because of this color scheme, I would have liked to see more of that gloss black come onto the side, but the matte black still does some justice because it does kind of offset a little bit. It's just something that when you live in a hot state, it's going to fade just a little bit. And that's really the only thing that I would be a little disappointed with. But the sporty styling, this is going to be a lot more sporty than that redesigned Civic. Even if you go to the hatch, this is still going to have a more playful look. The only thing that I dislike is that Prius window that's next to the side view mirror. The cap is the same color as the body. Shark fin antenna, the same color as the body with that spoiler lip that wraps around your trunk. LED tail lamps. SE badging with the red inserts, the chrome around it to give more of that sporty heritage. And what I was saying on the side, they actually implement here. The lower trim, you're going to get the gloss matte gray with the honeycomb over your diffuser, dual exhaust outlets. Unfortunately, though, it's on the same side, so I feel a little bit naked because it would look better if it was proportioned out, especially because this is a 6-speed manual transmission. But with it sit like this, it just feels a little naked. I like that they give you a seal on the side with the reflectors though. That does look nice. And if you compare this to the LE, it's going to have a completely different rear, so a little bit more sport to ride. Going inside to your cargo at 13.1 cubic feet. There's a spare tire tucked underneath the floor. The rear bench split folds at a 60-40 split with your reverse camera. The Toyota Corolla SE definitely on all 4 corners is going to be more sport derived than the Honda, than the Jetta, and they back the performance with a 2.0-liter inline 4-cylinder producing 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque that's paired to a 6-speed manual transmission achieving 27 to 36 mpgs, 0 to 60 anywhere from 7 to 10 seconds, which is about the same as as the Jetta, as the Civic. Quarter mile, 17.8 seconds. Stopping from 60 to 0, 128 feet. So you have that sport attribute, you have the latest technology, you have the latest tech. Toyota's backing it with their safety, and they're giving you all of that with the manual transmission. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2022 Toyota Corolla SE as we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test run. Entering inside the Toyota Corolla SE, headroom is going to be 38.3 inches, legroom at 42 inches. So it's pretty good for the front. We'll see how I look in the back. Black sports fabric seats. You're going to receive the Toyota pattern with the stitch work and the lines in blue. So it does look pretty decent. 6-way manual adjustment for the driver, 4-way manual adjustment for the passenger. Kind of is what it is. The dashboard is going to be simple and flat, which makes it easy to see out of the windscreen because the A-pillars are pretty much not pushed back. That's why we have the Prius windows on the side, so that way you could see a little bit more for visibility. But it's going to be more of a firm texture throughout. You'll receive the silver on both of the side air vents, and in the center it's going to have the gloss black with the silver to wrap around this climate control. We do have the upgraded 8-inch audio touchscreen. We don't have navigation. Click into your audio so you can see we have AM, FM, Sirius XM, Bluetooth connectivity, Amazon Alexa, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Switching it to reverse, you do have the dynamic lines. One USB port on the passenger side, a cubby that you can put a larger cell phone. IMT button is engaging the transmission intelligent mode, which is basically a rev match function that makes a smoother downshift. And your 6-speed manual transmission with the leather that's surrounding it. Electronic parking brake, kind of wish it was a manual. Cup holders, you can fit a 16.9 ounce water bottle. I'd say a 20 ounces max. Open up in here, you're going to receive a 12 volt and another USB port. As for your elbows, it's going to be super firm. This is going to be more sport derived. We do have a sunroof, so that does help. 3-spoke steering wheel, multi-function with the silver that wraps around it. The gauge cluster will have a TFT display that can go through an array of information. You can also turn on and off your safety features. As for the door panel, harder materials, one touch up and down for the front windows. The silver outlines the grab handle with the contrast stitching underneath your armrest. Storage, I would say you can fit at least 4 to 5 16.9 ounce water bottles. So it is pretty efficient, pretty spot on with Civic and Jetta, and you feel kind of close inside, so it does have a little bit more of a sporty, upbeat feel. For the back seat, headroom at 37.1 inches, which if I move too much, I'm going to hit the headliner. Leg space at 42.3 inches. There's no central air vents. There's no USB. You do have a storage tray. You can fit maybe a smaller cell phone. Floor is not completely flat. Elbows are going to be obviously soft here because of the cloth material. Door panel, hard materials pretty much throughout, except for where you put your elbows or your armrest. You'll get the blue contrast stitch work. In storage in the door panel, I would say you could really only fit one 16.9 ounce water bottle. And the way these seats are, they feel like they're more cut, so it doesn't go deep for your legs, and it kind of feels like you're just sitting with your butt and your legs are in the air. You do sit up a little bit. Let's see how I look in the center. There's only one way to sit in the center, and you have to really sit back like this and straight, because headroom, I'm pretty much against it, and if I sit like this, I can't even put my head. Legroom, I'm against both of the back of the front seats in the position I'd be sitting, or a little bit further, sharing foot, leg, shoulder, everything possible. The seats are pretty tight to fit 3 adults my size for a long journey. I don't recommend it. Short, maybe if it's a 5-10 minute commute, it wouldn't be too bad. I have to say, for the back seats, I like the Civic a little bit more. It's a little bit more comfortable. The way you sit in this, it's very sporty, which is fine. It's just hard if you're going on a long journey. Taking the 2022 Toyota Corolla SE with the 6-speed manual, we do have the IMT, which is basically a rev match. The 6-speed manual transmission, it's definitely a more playful vehicle in the sense of comparing it to Honda. You can only get a 6-speed manual in the hatch. You can't receive it in the sedan, so it's a dying breed, I hate to say it. And I mean, if you get an opportunity to test drive one, I would recommend it, because you might find it very fun in the sense that you can get there a little bit quicker. 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. I wish that they would have increased that when you get the manual, because I mean, look, you can really make this thing scream if you want to. and it's smooth. I mean, it's not going to be obviously as smooth as a CVT transmission, but at the end of the day, I do like how playful it is. It makes you feel youthful, and that's really what you want when you're getting a vehicle. Braking on the vehicle, we're going to do a hard brake just to show you, and you can pretty much stop on a dime. It's a small vehicle, it's sporty, you can pretty much maneuver it any which way you want. Checking the turn radius at a stop point, you're going to receive about 2 lanes, and give her some gas. Oh, she goes. It's fun. It's definitely a fun car. I mean, that's why you like to try to do manual cars. Manual cars just give you that playfulness, and it keeps a smile and a joy, even with a vehicle with this low of power. Now, there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'd be buying this vehicle. The 3 things that I like is the fact that you can still get a manual transmission, and it is more playful and it is more fun. Yeah, on a long journey, it's going to be easy, obviously. When you're in a city environment, or if you're doing a lot of stop and go, you may not want to opt for this, but it's definitely something to take in consideration. The gas consumption will not be as good as the CVT either, which is kind of sad because you don't get any increase in power. The second thing that I like about the vehicle is how sporty it is. When you are comparing this to the rivals, this one really is the sportiest of them. When you go into the Honda Civic hatch, it's a little bit more sporty, but it's still more grown up. They really have taken away a lot of the feel of that sportness and youth, and they keep it in the Corolla, and that's why these vehicles sell so well. And the last thing that I like about it is the price point. This is still an entry-level, everyday driven vehicle that anyone can purchase, because it's still in the $20,000 price point, which I hate to say it, but it's getting hard to find that nowadays, because most of the time, especially if you go up to the Civic, you're going to see that the price has increased dramatically, and it's not necessarily as sporty and fun. Here we go, guys. It's the fun part. You feel like you're in like a little NASCAR. I hate to say it like that, but it's a fun little ride as you go with it. 3 things that I dislike about the vehicle is when I get into the rear. Yes, I obviously am taller. However, I hit my head on the door well area, which I do that quite often, I hate to say, because you have to go pretty low. The sit of this is a lot lower than the Jetta and the Civic. The second thing that I dislike about the vehicle is in the back seats. It's pretty hard for somebody tall like me to fit, especially if you have to sit in the center. There's no charging ports, there's no air vents. It's pretty basic, which it's kind of sad to see that, because this is an everyday driven vehicle. And when you get an everyday driven vehicle, you typically want to be able to get some of these amenities, so that way you can actually have some fun. But the nice thing is, because it's a smaller vehicle, you can easily move in and out of traffic without any issues. The last thing that I dislike about the vehicle is they don't give you any upgrades in the powertrain. This should be something that they do, because they give you the Riv Match, which is awesome. Gonna stop in the middle of the road, put her in gear, and show you what this thing's worth. Here we go. It's playful. It does what you need. You get up to speed. It's gonna be noisy. It's not gonna be as quiet, and the suspension is not, it's actually a smoother suspension than the Honda, I will say, and they fixed and altered the Honda suspension to make it about 20% less in the rigidness, but this one is very smooth, and I think a lot of that derives to the seating. As for visibility, you can see it's a small vehicle. Dynamics, you can pretty much whip in and out if you need to. I'd just be cautious with it. And I mean, for the front, the only disadvantage really there is you can't see the hood at all. So you figure you're gonna have to add maybe 2 or 3 feet past your windscreen, because the way the hood sits down. But for the most part, easy to use. You can drive and get in and out of anything pretty quickly, and it's smooth. I'd like to thank Stadiumm Toyota for giving us this 2022 Toyota Corolla SE for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, click that subscribe button, check out the details, the website, the merchandise, everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.